ourselves. There are more than 5 of us. We actually have an ongoing group of anywhere from 10 to 15 or even 20 women that join intermittently at different times. We have been meeting more than maybe once a month for almost, well, 2 years, maybe even 2.5 years now. And our main reason for being is we come together for ourselves to share, but we also come to up-level the consciousness of what it means to be a priestess. And we also come together to talk about this concept of ascension, because in our world, it's really a state of awareness and a vibrational frequency. So each of us have individually done many, many years of work. And I bet collectively, we could say we have done hundreds of years of work.
Lifetime.
We join all those years together. So we bring a certain level of consciousness. And as Priestesses of Ascension, it's more about an energetic vibrational field when we say the word ascension. And as a group of very high-powered women, and I'm so honored to be a part of and included in, women who have been doing their own work as teachers, as speakers, as authors, and healers in their own right for many, many, many years. And so as we begin, I'm going to invite Aimée to do an invocation to set the tone for this event. And thank you. Go right ahead.
Thank you.
And we ask everybody to just join in as they desire.
Lovely. So let's do a little grounding and centering so that we bring ourselves fully present and open to the magic of the evening. So if you would just sit comfortably with your knees and feet apart, your feet flat on the floor and your palms face down on your thighs, and then gently close your eyes if that feels comfortable. And first, just call back any scattered or leaked energy that you may have left laying around. You don't have to know where it is, who it's with, or why you left it, because energy follows awareness. So if you call it back, it must comply. Take a breath. And if you bring your awareness to the base of the spine, on your long exhale, imagine that you're dropping 3 grounding cords into our beloved Mother Earth. The first cord goes from the base of the spine directly to the center of the earth, and the other 2 cords go down the legs, one down each leg, out through the bottoms of the feet. And as soon as those cords down your legs hit the center of the earth energy is going to bounce straight back, up your legs, up your spine, and into your heart. The first cord, that central grounding cord, is your drainage cord, so we don't bring earth energy up it. But if you feel the need to release any energy as we go through the evening, you can just breathe it straight down that central grounding cord, and your energy will be recycled in the earth. So let's take a breath and drop the 3 cords down and bring the earth energy up the legs. Take a breath. And moving your awareness to the back of the heart, traveling up the chakra ladder, 300 feet above the top of your head is your intention and your destination. That of the 12th chakra, the direct access point to the Godhead. As you arrive, feeling the warmth of your welcome, the sense of your belonging, as you fill and fill and fill with your divine birthright gifts, divine light, divine love, divine grace, divine wisdom, divine compassion, and divine gratitude, bringing all those gifts down the chakra ladder and placing them into your heart. Take a breath. And bringing your awareness into your heart chakra, noticing how you've strengthened your connection between your heart and the heart of Goddess Mother Earth and all of the nourishment she's promised you for your physical body and all of its needs, and strengthen the connection between your heart and the heart of Mother, Father, God, and to that source energy that feeds your soul in its journey in a physical body on earth. And as we take this final breath in this invocation, I want you to imagine your 12 chakra spine lighting up like a pillar of light. Take a breath. And into this sacred space, we invite all those divine beings fully committed to the light, all of our teachers and guides and counselors and angels, ascended master beings. Let us all join together in this transmission of the divine feminine energy as a blessing for everyone who hears it.
So be it.
And so be it.
When you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I just wanted to introduce myself as Luminessa Enjara. And I am going to introduce each of our lovely priestesses before they speak. And the format is, just so you know, we have each of us get to share between 5 and 6 minutes. And then we're going to have kind of a conversation. And we'll open that up a little bit. And if you have questions, you can always put them in your chat as well. And we'll be happy to respond to them. This is a little new on the technology, so bear with us if we have a glitch here and there. So I would love to introduce Aimée, who just shared that beautiful meditation. And thank you so very much. That was lovely. Aimée Lyndon-Adams shares a purpose with 20 ascended master guides, whose wisdom and healing energy she channels through her hands and words. She is the co-founder of What Truly Matters, Living Life Consciously, and is a priestess, speaker, author, teacher, and facilitator, and also an amazing being, a woman that I am truly getting to know a little bit at a time and have such love for. So this is Aimée, and welcome.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Luminessa. And what a pleasure to talk about the emergence of the divine feminine at this time as we engage in our ascension process as well. And through this time, we're really all learning to reconnect with trust and open to the feminine within ourselves as our bodies, our sexuality, and our emotions, and learning to surrender our thinking to pure presence. Really is, those are 4 of the main goals of this process. Now, one of my ascended master guides is in fact Mary Magdalene, and she has been sharing what she considers to be the 3 main blocks to the emergence of the divine feminine, and indeed to our ascension. And the first of those blocks is the relationship we have with our physical bodies. Now, of course, the relationship that you have with your body is probably the most important one, certainly the most long-lasting one that you'll ever have in your entire life. It starts within the womb and it ends on your last day here on earth. But many of us, especially women, feel shame about our bodies, that there's something wrong with them, that we're either too fat, too thin, too short, too tall, maybe not beautiful enough, not young enough, not old enough. Some of us get the message that there's something wrong with our bodies early on in life. Or, you know, we're even told our bodies as women are sinful. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but our body is a prized possession. In fact, my guru's guru liked to say that if you knew how many billions of years it had taken you to earn the right to acquire a human physical body, you were treated a lot better than you do. That really stayed with me when I recognized the truth of that. So can you relate to your body as a sacred temple, as a home for your divinity while you're adventuring on this earth plane? Can you actually accept it as an incredible gift and one that you will never have again once you've completed your lives on the earth plane? It's not enough to eat well, drink lots of pure water, move your body on a regular basis, and get enough quality rest and sleep, although all of those are, of course, very important. But your body needs your loving touch. It needs to be seen through the eyes of love. Your body is going through an incredible process at this time. It's being transformed 24/7 from a carbon-based system to that of a crystalline light body. You might think of it as a lump of coal transforming into a diamond. It's a kind of a similar analogy. And your body needs conscious partnership with it as it moves along in its journey. Many of us are having ascension symptoms, and the body is just trying to get your attention and let you know what it needs. Now, many of you listening to this call are in fact healers. You know, as you bring your love to your body, you assist it in releasing energetic blocks and the negative messages it's absorbed over so many years. And through the healing process, you allow your light to emerge through your physical form. The second block to the emergence of the divine feminine in your ascension is the relationship we have with our feelings, Mary Magdalene says. I don't know if you're aware that the emotional body actually directs the physical body, which is one reason why it's so important to feel our feelings versus allowing them to roil around in our physical bodies, first creating dis-ease. You know, we feel uncomfortable, antsy, you know, not present, not connected to ourselves. But if we ignore those feelings for long enough, they actually create disease. So very important to move the feelings. And of course, so many of us have been taught to repress the feelings, that our feelings are weak. But nothing could be actually further from the truth. In fact, there's such great power in the emotions. And when we do suppress them, we're actually easier to control. I want you to really let that in. Really powerful to feel your feelings. Mary Magdalene says, it's essential that you reconnect to your emotions and your feelings because these are the essential pathway to the heart and to connection with the divine. So imagine, you know, as you more and more allow yourself to feel those feelings all the way through. That's the key, to fully feel them. If you do, you will notice that they always release and let go, but not without having first uncovered important insights. You see, the feelings really are a gift. You don't get angry for no reason. You get angry because you've been dissed or because someone just trod all over a boundary of yours. You don't get resentful for no reason. You get resentful when you said yes to something when you really wanted to say no. So we would just say this, you know, that it's important to practice emotional integrity. You don't dump unprocessed feelings over another person. Even if they've triggered them in you, actually, they were doing you a favor by letting you know that you had some very deep feelings about whatever they were triggering in you. So we ask that you process your emotions in private so that you can understand what it is they've been trying to tell you, and then you can have a neutral conversation in which you can share what it was that upset you so much. And this way, you can find that you'll be heard. The third block to the emergence of the divine feminine and our ascension is the relationship we have with our sexuality. Now, other priestesses are going to talk about this tonight. So all I'm going to say via Mary Magdalene is that there are two true functions of sexuality. Obviously, we all know one, which is the creation and, or rather the conception and birth of a child. But the other is to give birth to your own spiritual self. Yes, sacred sex is the fastest path to ascension and to communion with the divine and the oneness. The main difference between regular sex and sacred sex is the raising of energy from the lower chakras up to the heart and up to the brain. And it can be practiced solo or with a partner, you'll be pleased to know. So I'm going to stop here because I know that others have more to say on this topic, but I really appreciate the gift of your attention. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much. And then we'll have more time to talk amongst all of us later, and we'll even invite maybe some of the participants in to share if they'd like to, which would be really lovely since we have a small group.
Lovely.
All right, so I'm going to invite in Christy this time to share. Christy is one of my wonderful friends, and I'm getting to know her better as a friend, but she's been a woman that I have worked with many years as a priestess. She is the embodiment of love. I always see Christy as that through the eyes of love because that's been her main teaching for so many years. She is a priestess of the Magdalene and a teacher of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. She has been a student and a teacher of the Course in Miracles and for many years, and she's also currently teaching a newer version or a new book called The Course of Love. She has also been raising, well, not just a priestess, a minister. She's been a leader in the community, especially in Marin, and has done ceremonies and Easter celebrations for Mary Magdalene for over 10 years, of which I've been so proud to be a part of. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here, Christy, and the show is yours. Go for it.
Thank you so much, Luminessa.
Right, thank you so much.
And I have to tell you, this is like my greatest joy, to join in the consciousness that gets evoked and called forth when women claim, as like Amanda, my dear, I love what you said at one of your workshops I was at. But by the way, her workshops are fabulous. But she said that what is emerging is a sovereign priestess. And I went, oh my God, that's so true. It's the first time we've really seen the sovereign priestess come through, because there's a greater degree of safety for us to step into our divine self and claim our divine nature. We get to have our own money now. And that has not always been. That's only been since the 70s, when I became a young adult woman, that we were allowed to have money in our name. And so it was like, we were given credit cards because they knew we liked to shop, right? So for many of us, that was our downfall. But, you know, you're talking about a consciousness that's rising that has been devoid in our culture. It's not so devoid when you go to Europe. You will see some honoring of the goddesses and the goddess cultures much more present. But in America, boy, I tell you, we have been stripped clean. I grew up in a church that was dry as toast. There was no, other than the Easter and Christmas, with a brief acknowledgement. Shortly, there was no honoring of the divine feminine. But once I got tapped on the shoulder, now this is the wonderful thing about the mystery of the divine feminine, because she comes to me, and for many of us here, she came to us from beyond the veil and said, hey, would you work with me? Would you listen to me? As you just heard Ami speak about the Magdalene voice coming through her, which is happening to many of us. And boy, when that happens, for me, it lights up my heart. It opens up my life. It brings in the quality of some authentic joy and peace. And I see it as building the new earth. The new earth that we've always been dreaming about and hoping to have happen. But it really, it is so important. So Wendy and Dolly and Karen and Jen, everyone, I'm so glad you're all here, because it's the feminine, as my friend Jan Saccone says, or Jorgensen says, it's the missing divine feminine voice that needs to be open. See, our voices were cut off. We were burned at the stake. We were not allowed to speak. And so that leads me to my point that I want to share today, and why it's so important to bring forth the divine feminine and the principles of being a priestess and claiming ourselves as priests, being willing to step into the sovereign priestess archetype and become her and allow her to work through us from the other side and the veil. Whoever you resonate with, there's many to pick from. Is safety. We want safety. And it's in her love, my experience, it's in her love that the safety comes. For when I received my first vision and my first download of the ritual ceremony that I was going to do, I was given everything that I needed to make it happen. I was given a vibrational resonance in my voice that attracted people to me. I was given all the ideas about what to do in a sacred ceremony. I had never done a sacred ceremony before. And what was I asked to do? My very first vision, I was asked to honor the consciousness of Mother Mary for being willing to have that high level of consciousness to conceive light and birth a God. And it was time to honor her consciousness. And it is now her consciousness that is informing us how to become our higher selves. Because when we come together and we claim our higher selves and we stand together as a field, as a force to be reckoned with, all of us beautiful women with all the joy in our hearts and the love in our hearts and our gifts and our talents, whether you sing or you have wisdom to impart, or you have a dance to dance, or whatever it is, or you're like Amanda, a tremendous shamanic presence, and Jen, who's a energy healer beyond, and Karen, who's an astrology master. I mean, everybody's got these dynamic properties and aspects of ourselves that all this blows open, and suddenly we can see the rise of the new earth. And that's the earth where we get to experience heaven on earth. We get to experience complete safety. So when something unsafe comes our way, what ends up happening is that our knowing to push love out causes the unsafe thing. We'll be directed, turn left here. Don't go there. Stop just now. Go into silence. No, speak these words. It's whatever it is. The guidance comes through to make us safe at all times. Because above the line, in the world of the priestess realm, all is well. Mm-hmm. All is good. All is safe and all is love. And I love all of you deeply. And I am so grateful and honored, Luminessa, that you invited me to come. Thank you so much. Blessings.
Thank you so much, Christy. That was wonderfully said. Very powerful and so true. And so it is a great honor as we move forward to a woman that I'm getting to know. She's been a part of our priestess circle from almost the beginning time, I believe, and yet elusive because she's a journeyer and an adventurous, and she travels the globe. She's a globetrotter. And I admire this about her. Jen Healy is a leader in quantum energetics. She has focused her mastery on the bridging the gap between science, spirituality, and the healing arts. She's the founder and CEO of Zen Healing. I love the way you spell that too. Healing and Healing Technologies. She offers 20 years of experience bringing together the best information and excellence in quantum healing, energy medicine, advanced body therapy, consciousness embodiment, empowerment, and evolutionary practices. That's just a portion. I had to kind of combine them all, Jen. It was too much. I couldn't say it all. Another page. And one of the things I love about Jen, before I will conclude, is that she is a physicist and an engineer. And I've always, besides being a priestess, and I've always admired people who have that kind of combination brain-wise, because I know that people who do make incredible body workers, they see things in mechanics that I don't see in that way. And so I know she's an amazing teacher and healer. And I pass to you, my dear. Blessings.
Thank you so much, Luminessa. I'm loving this work that you're doing and all these amazing women that we have in our group. And I have been so honored to be part of the Priestess Ascension Circle since the beginning, although I do travel quite a bit and like to spread my teachings and trainings around the world. It's such a blessing to pop in and feel the connection of the sisterhood. So I just want to say thank you for that. It's meant so much to me to deepen our relationship. And I love what Aimée has said and what Christy has said. Kudos, ditto to all of that. And I wanted to really bring in some practical tools for those that are listening to what does it mean right now to embody more of the priestess archetype. And I really love the idea of inviting people to drop more into their belly, more into their womb, more into their feelings, that embodying the feminine archetype is about getting in touch with our feelings, as Aimée said, and our sexuality. And also for me, my journey going from engineering and physics and very deeply steeped in the masculine and the sciences, it's been such a healing journey for me to reclaim what does it mean to be an empowered, embodied, feminine, divine, playful being. It's been a very long journey, and I really love the idea of what Luminessa is bringing to the table of modernizing the archetype of the priestess and reclaiming this part of ourselves. So for me, it really represents the sacred. If I would boil it all down, it comes back to the heart. And when I'm living in my heart and when I'm experiencing myself from a heart-centered space, I remember the unity consciousness that I am. And the heart happens to be this beautiful bridge between the head and the thinking mind, which usually is associated with the masculine, and the belly and the feelings and the body, which is associated with the feminine. And I would love to invite everyone to bring it back to the heart and the qualities of the heart space to operate from this apex and the bridge between these two worlds that we're so needing to merge right now and to come into balance. So I call this the harmonic coding of the golden divine. And I realized after 10 years of being fully steeped and dedicated to the healing arts and the spiritual journey that the most important thing that I could offer to people was empowerment, to empower them and to give them the tools to have their own transformational experience. So the sacred geometry that lives in the heart is like an infinity loop that runs from the head to the belly. And if we can think about having there be a harmonization or a synchronization between the head and the heart and the womb, which I call these hollow spheres. They're spherical, so you can think of them as these three spheres working together in harmony. Our world, the outer reflection, is calling for this sense of balance. The waters balancing the fire, the breath balancing the emotions, and getting in tune with the qualities of the heart. So for me, the highest quality that would represent the divine feminine, for me, that I've been practicing as a value system, is grace. And when I think about what does it mean to be gracious, what does it mean to be kind and more compassionate, how can we show up in the world even when the external world isn't quite representing what we want to see? How can we become the living embodied example of that? So I'm inviting more grace into my life, and what that archetype would represent. It's a combination of truth and love and wisdom. And I think about, how does grace move? What would grace say? What would grace do? Particularly in intense situations, or when we're feeling challenged, when we're meeting difficulties, how can we show up with more grace? And really, even though this really represents more of a feminine quality to me, it represents the sacred masculine and feminine in perfect balance and harmony in the heart. So beyond grace, and I will try to keep this to 5 minutes, thank you, Luminessa, cue me if I go over, is kindness. And I had a session yesterday that moved me so deeply, and I just wanted to share it with you guys, that my client discovered that she didn't have enough kindness towards herself, that her inner dialogue, her inner conversations, and the self-criticism and the talk was blocking her from really living the joy of being that she's wanted in her life. So when we go beyond the doing to being, we naturally blossom into this inherent state of joy. So I'm inviting all of us to find that inner compass of kindness, that we can have more compassion for ourselves, that we can speak to ourselves and others with more gentleness and more grace, especially when things get intense. So that's the gist of it for me. That's where I'll leave it. I have this whole practice called Radical Self-Care that are just 5-minute practices that I've offered on YouTube that you guys are welcome to have as a gift. And I'm just inviting everybody to right now to get into these simple, easy, I call them radical, because just even taking 5 minutes out of our day to shift our energy, to come back to our breath, to remember how important it is to care for this body and this being. Mm-hmm. So I'm offering that as an invitation. Just take the 5 minutes to take care of yourself. And if you're interested in more, I have a whole transformational training online course that is free for 30 days that can give you more meditation techniques and more ways to deepen this practice and open up to more grace.
Thank you so much. I'm inviting everyone here who speaks to please add their information in the chat. Amanda Elo'esh is San Francisco's #1 spiritual success mentor. Well, that was what she was doing for many, many, many years. And I met her through a group of wonderful women at Fem Talks, which is sponsored by another lovely lady. And she is a teacher, shaman, and international speaker who is the founder of the Living Wisdom School and the Ario Bridge community, which is located in West County, Marin. She embodies for me, there's so much to say about Amanda. That is so very limited. Right now, she has been mostly working with the spiritual awakening of many, many women and men. And I have had the gracious opportunity to see her in action as a priestess. She's a ceremonialist. I think Amanda is one of the premier ceremonialists that I have ever been with. She really brings presence to everything that she does. She has an embodiment of the priestess in a way that's very unique to her mission and her calling. And she truly is a medicine woman and a healer and a shaman. And it is such an honor for me to have an opportunity to sit in circle with her and to have us share together. And so I really welcome her to share her wisdom on the priestess energy because she embodies it so beautifully.
Thank you so much. You know, I've loved what everybody's said, and I just, what a beautiful opportunity to see everybody's faces and the lovely women tuning in to our panel. You know, the priestess is a unique archetype of the sacred feminine in one way, and that is, like, you know, we know Kali and Tara and Oshun and, you know, all these goddesses, but the priestess is a human embodiment of the sacred feminine. That is the definition pretty much of the priestess. You know, she's bringing the sacred to life. She is bringing the sacred, and we need that so much now. And yes, I started tuning into what is the modern, there's a new archetype coming through, and what is this? Like, it's the sovereignness, it's really, the sovereignness is confident to listen to source and to make decisions based on source, not based on money, not based on good business moves or, anything else, but to truly trust that listening to that divine guidance will get us through. And I've been living it for the past year and a half. Life's been really crazy, and feel completely held through all of it, all kinds of crazy adventures that could have taken me down. And I'm really blessed to have that sense of the sovereignness in me. And my mission is to share that with everybody. The Living Wisdom School is now the Church of Living Wisdom. And I gave it that name because it's about accessing the wisdom that's alive and available to each of us as sovereign beings in every moment. Not learning a template, not even really listening to any of us, other than being inspired to, how do I tune into the source wisdom for me? Because we all have different ways we're being asked to show up. We all have different beliefs and challenges and resources, and that's fine, but being able to really access that is so important. And so what I wanted to share is the practice that I've been bringing, because it has to be very simple, the practice that I've been bringing, which is how can I be the priestess in this moment? Meaning, how do I bring the sacred? How do I bring the elevation? Especially if there's some kind of negativity, if there's some hardness happening, either interrelationally, or maybe I see it happening out there in the world, to bring my attention to how do I elevate it? Because right now, as human beings, we all have core wounds, and we all have subconscious programming that is operating behind the scenes, and it has the majority of pull, like a frightening majority of pull in how we make decisions and think and respond. And there's a lot that's being done to activate that, because the powers that be know that when we do that, we are controllable. We are programmed. We have pre-programmed ourselves, and we continue to engage in ways that continue to ingrain that programming. And the fastest way to break through is to open our mind, and that breaks the circuit. And the fastest way to open your mind is to ask a question. And usually when we're stressed out, we ask questions like, well, why is this happening to me? And what's wrong with me? And what's wrong with you? But the helpful question to be is, how do I elevate this moment right now? How do I bring the love into this moment? How, whatever the positivity is, how do I bring peace to this moment? So that, when we can, let go of our justified emotional responses. Everybody's acting in a justified way. Everybody thinks that their behavior is justified. But if it's a negative energy and emotion, that I guarantee you, 100% of the time, if you're coming from a negative emotion, that is a pre-programmed experience that is set to generate more of the same. And so whatever your intentions are doesn't really matter. You will be regenerating. If it's coming from anger, more anger. If it's coming from fear, more fear. So you have to break out of the program, and you have to ask, how do I make this a better circumstance? And usually just stopping the reaction is powerful. And when you have an ongoing practice of being aware of your body and source and how to tune in, which I and I'm sure every other woman here, including those who've shown up as participants, could probably help with deeper ways of accessing that source wisdom. But we break the circuit of program behavior, and how do I make this better? So I'll just give a quick example. My car broke down in the middle of the desert as a result of getting an oil change that wasn't done properly. And it was really, really hot, and there was nothing around. And it was kind of scary. Kind of felt like it was going to be scary. And so I had one little bar to call and get help. And, you know, before I did that, I just tuned in. Like, I don't want to come from fear or anger. Like, you owe me, you got it, you know, you messed everything up. And instead I tuned in, like, how do I bring the love? And I said, hey, I'm in a very precarious situation, and this is what I would like for you to do. This is how I'm going to feel taken care of. So I came with a solution, and I was very gracious, and they were so excited. I was loving and kind, and also had a solution prepared. This is how it's going to feel great. And I ended up at a garage of these 3 old Vietnam veterans. We probably have very different values, probably voted very differently. But I was able to engage with them, and also how do I bring the love? They were like, they saw my hippie bag and my Prius, and they were like, I don't know if we want to help you, but you know, I brought the love, and you know, they were very kind and very helpful, and made an actual heart connection, and got to share their experiences in Vietnam and their experiences of the divisiveness in our country, and how sad it is, and how good people are being judged for, you know, things that really ultimately don't matter. And I felt like that conversation created some connection and healing in the world where there's been so much divisiveness. So us showing up as the priestess and bringing the ceremony to each moment, especially the ones that are harsh, can be the difference between life and death, actually, really literally. And I'm probably complete with my time, and if not, I feel
That's good.
message. So
that was an amazing message, though. Everybody here has had an amazing message, and I didn't want to stop you regardless of the time. Whether we have a conversation or not, I'm noticing what we need is to have a longer time. That's all. Longer time to share. Conversation may come another time.
Put the ineffable into 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's very hard, but I now I'm learning again to expand the time. It's okay to have an hour and a half. We don't have to do it in an hour. Okay.
Yeah.
So all is good. All is good. And I'm going to invite Aimée to share my little bio, if she wouldn't mind.
I would love to.
Great, thank you.
Returning the favor, Luminessa and I go back a long way, but we've just reconnected more recently. Very exciting. And she is a teacher of women's spirituality, sexuality. She's a speaker, writer, and the founder of the new Feminine Mystique, a pathway to your sexual wholeness. Wow. She is an ordained priestess and the lineage holder of the Priestess of the Flame, a 6,000-year-old teaching from the Temple of Inanna. She's dedicated to bringing forth a new vibration of the divine feminine and a new paradigm for women's sexuality. She's also, on a lighter note, a fairy goddess mother and a mentor for women. She does it all. Luminessa.
My new role, that's the next, the third act finally came in as the fairy goddess mother, my new brand persona, and I love it. Remember Ariel, who she was talking about being coyote way back in our session? I thought, I'm a fairy goddess mother, and I have a fairy goddess daughter. And she loves the fact that I'm doing this. This is like so empowering for me because I get to play, have fun, and share wisdom at the same time. Yeah. And so my share piggybacks everybody else. It's a very eclectic group, and I really love everything that we've all said. For me, being a priestess is an ongoing opportunity to step, as you said, Amanda, it's an ongoing day-to-day, moment-to-moment presencing of who I really am and discovering that true essential self, my true nature. Now, we all can do that in different ways, a variety of ways. Some of us may have meditated for many years. Some of us may have teachers or gurus. Some of us may have just gone out into the desert, as I see one of the participants is out in the beautiful sky out there in the mountains. You look so lovely. And
it's maybe like Hawaii.
Oh, it's Hawaii. Well, there you go. Maybe it's walking out in nature or being out in nature that brings that essential quality of our purity, our pure essential self. And something that I am becoming more aware of is the purity of the feminine, the purity of the divine feminine. And each of us are speaking to a reclaiming of that purity, because it has been over thousands of years muddied, sullied. The purity of our energy as the feminine has been distorted. The message has often been communicated through our culture, a male-dominated culture for the most part, that has watered it down, taken away its power. For me, sexuality and sexual power is really something that is not understood. It hasn't been as understood as it could be. And in this conference, in this talk, we mentioned some of what it really is, the sacred feminine, the sacred sexuality. But sacred sexuality is really what sexuality has always been. It has always been that way. It isn't about profanity or about sacred. We live in a world where sex is profane. And you notice what happens when sexuality becomes profane? You can see how it makes a difference on every level, in every area of life. Sex is not just about, as you said, Aimée, procreation. It's about the elevation of the spirit, the divine within you. So from a woman, and as a woman, I have been a sexual initiatrix my entire life. I have played that role to the hilt. I did it through the dark. I did it through the SM, the exploration, the tantrika, the priestess. And from much of my youth, I played that role, I guess, in a way that was just to explore who I was. It was my method, using sexuality and sexual energy. But I discovered as I matured that the only thing I really wanted to do, once I got all of that kind of like the mystery of what that was for me, who I was and how to do it, what it felt like, I empowered myself to become all of those roles as a divine feminine. So in sexuality and as a priestess, as a sexual initiatrix, which is a role that I'm asking us to look at again and reclaim for ourselves, that we are a sexually conscious woman, that we use our sexual energy with an awareness, not just in the bedroom. That's one aspect, and it's wonderful. But to use that consciousness in every relationship that we have, that the power that we hold in the vessel, our temple, our body, in every aspect of who we are, is a power not to be taken lightly, because when we use it and we call our bodies in as a sacred vessel and we honor our breasts, we honor our belly, and we're saying that we honor the body as it is. We love it the way it is, no matter what the form, and we really cherish ourselves. That is communicated in a dialogue with anybody, and our sexual magnetism is a part of that communication. I know that when I was young, I mastered the seductress. I thought that was the only role, because I was sexually abused as a young girl. So the only way I knew to survive was to use my sexuality to get attention, to be sexy. And I see in this world today, and I impart to women everywhere, and especially young girls, which I find very dear to my heart. The message is that our sexuality is far more than being sexy. In fact, that's a very small part of it. What you wear, how you move or walk isn't about being sexy or trying to get something or get attention. It's really an embodiment of this priestess, the sexual initiatrix as the priestess, the woman who knows her power. She knows herself. She knows her sovereignty. She's independent. She's strong. She chooses. She understands that she has I guess it's a role. She has a part to play to open love into the world. And that's what the sexual initiatrix always did. She used her sexual energy and her body and the conduit as a goddess. She channeled that divine feminine into her body. And what she did with it is she brought healing into a situation. She brought healing into her relationship. Or she also brought love and awakened the heart and merged the heart with the third chakra, with the second chakra. She was such an empowered being and an empowered woman, and played a vital role in the communities that were before we had, I call the fall, the fall from grace. So I would sum up by just saying that in our world today, I invite you as a woman, if you choose to just to take a look at what does it mean for you to become a woman who is using our sexual energy and your body and your whole availability consciously. What would it feel like for you to walk in that walk, or to just have a conversation with another woman about that? How would that feel in your body? How would that feel in your soul? What kinds of things would that invoke in you as a sexual initiatress? What would that mean for you as a priestess, as an archetype for that? And if you want to know more about anything or anything that I share, I will put something in the chat room and invite you to connect with me. And with that, I will complete, because I think that has been 5 minutes at least. Yes. So thank you so very much to me for listening. What I'd like to do is exactly 5:54. So I would like us to have a closing at this time. And again, I want to say thank you to everybody who participated and everybody who has come. And Karen, yes?
I just want to share my priestess card. I made a tarot deck. I call it Awakening. And this is the High Priestess, which is 3 principles: independence, balance, and intuition. So these are the principles of the tarot. And this is, and she's looking to the left, and she's the independent. So just want to add.
Beautiful.
That's great. Thank you so much. And I wanted to invite Amanda here to do a closing prayer for us. And again, I just want to say we are the Priestesses of Ascension, and we have a Facebook page under the Priestesses of Ascension at the Ascension Priestess. So if you want to contact us, you can go to our Facebook page. We're going to post this up on Facebook, I hope, and maybe also soon on a YouTube page that I'll be creating. And we'll have our contact information again. And we really hope that you'll share this conversation with other people, other women. You know, it's open to share, and you can copy the link when we send it out. We'll just post it up. And thank you. All right, that's enough for that. Amanda, go for it.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to invite us to tune in to our hearts and start to be aware of that infinity loop that Jen was talking about, that goes from our head through our heart and down into our womb space, and tune into that energy field. And while we're doing that with our breath, activating it and strengthening it with the in and out of the breath, to draw all of our energies that can get very scattered out wide, you know, with concerns for people and money and weather and all kinds of stuff, to bring all that energy, draw it as we're breathing in into that infinity loop, and feel it charging us up, charging our lights up, and coming into this more aligned energetic field that connects us with Earth Mother, which we started out with, and connecting us with higher source of consciousness, and expanding it upward and downward, and feeling ourselves coming into more full alignment energetically as we do that, and feeling the powerful prayers that we hold in our hearts, the messages that we've heard today that have inspired and activated us, and breathing into the heart and feeling the light that we are and the light that we've connected with in all of these messages, feeling it being fed by the lights and the hearts of the women here and all those who may tune in at some other time in the future, and really sending out the love, the light, the beacon of light that's needed right now in the darkness, sending it out from the heart. Also in an infinity loop, to the left and to the right, to connect with our brothers and sisters and all in between in the gender spectrum, and to send it forward and backward, forward in time and backward in time, so that we have a triple infinity loop running through our heart. And then just taking one moment to take this last breath and bring in a wish for yourself. Let's be selfish for a moment. As priestesses, we are in such service to other people, but what do you most desire right now? And let this last breath that we take together be for yourself and bringing it in. And may it nourish you. Ashe.
Thank you so much. It was beautiful. And so with that, I would just like to say, if anybody wants to stay after and you have any questions that are here, feel free to, do that. Yeah, I can't even do. Have a wonderful day or evening or afternoon, wherever you are.
I would really like to open it up for some
Yeah, go right ahead. Let's go do
There
that.
was so much that was said here that I found really profound and rich and deep. Jen, you mentioned something about this going within part, and I remembered a story when I was with a roommate who was incredibly difficult to deal with, and instead of like looking out to what she was doing that was very disturbing and disconcerting in my house, I knew that the only place was to go really deep within. Like I had to go in and find peace because it was the lack of peace in me that was what was disturbing. And so I took the deepest dive that I've ever taken to try to find peace within myself. And she ended up moving out, and the day that she was moving out, I was so peaceful and just holding presence as she was taking her stuff and moving out, that she stopped at the door and she turned to me and she goes, "Thank you." Because her, like, this conditioned patterning was always that she would attack and then somebody would attack her back and then would this and then there would be a blow up and you're wrong and I'm out of here and all that. And because of my priestess training, I knew it had nothing to do with her. It had to do with me, that there was something in me that was manifesting this experience of a lack of peace. And I was done with that. I'm not doing no peace in my life anymore. So, but when I hit the point of peace, oh my God, I remember the moment when I finally reached peace, the peace within. It was so sweet. It was so nurturing. It was so beautiful. I was like, I would not have found this deeper level of experience of peace if it hadn't have been for her. So she gave me this incredible gift, because now every time I tell the story or remember this memory, I go to that deeper place of peace. So I have gratitude now. So thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
There's so much freedom in that, right? Finding the peace independent of what the external circumstances are doing. And we could sure all use that right now. There's so much turbulence and disturbance in the air in the form of smoke, but the air is holding emotion. The air is a medium that carries energy. It carries this radio waves and internet waves, and it's actually carrying the charge, not just the physical debris of the areas that it's coming from. So we're feeling this deep well of interconnectivity by breathing the same air, the same Shakti, the same prana. And with that, we're having to find deeper inner stillness, inner grounding. I think it's even beyond peace. I don't even know what word to describe it, but it is just that imperturbability that comes from being that living embodied example to entrain the external world instead of the external world entraining us, right? With the biomimicry.
Yep.
Well said.
So important, these messages, and so important for us to gather. So I'm really grateful to everyone for joining.
I am too. Thank you again. It was lovely to have us do ours. This is our second time that we've done this, and we hope to be doing it every other month or every 2 months. And different women will show up, and we'll have a different focus subject, or maybe the same. We don't know, because it's always changing. No matter what we talk, it's always going to grow, evolve, and change. And does anybody here, Karen or any of you, do you have any questions you'd like to ask before we sign off?
No, but I'm glad I came on. So thank you very much. You'll see me again.
Okay.
I really love archetypes and all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dahlia and Wendy, for showing up as well.
Yeah.
I love you guys.
Pleasure.
I appreciate you tuning in.
Take care.
Taking us to
Thank
the
you so much.
Yeah.
That's
And I
okay.
know there's
And Amanda, I love that painting behind you. Okay,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about her.
Yeah, well, she's got 2 dragons, as you can see, the blue dragon and the red dragon. And she's an image created by a friend of mine named Andrew, or Android Jones. And
Wow.
yeah, I knew him way back when people didn't know who he was, but now people know who he is.
And now you've got an original.
No, it's not. It's not.
Oh, it's
No.
beautiful. It's exquisite. Really
but a
beautiful.
brilliant artist.
Yeah.
And it fits you totally.
Thank you. Yeah.
Who you are. Absolutely.
And I think that says so much about what the priestess world is about, because the artwork around the priestess world is like so extraordinarily beautiful. And then the music, and then the dance, it's like you get to have all of that too. So,
Anyway.
Yeah,
why we ever gave up.
Well, it's, I think the
Priestess.
modern day priestess has got a lot more that we're dealing with now. But I do think that we take that ancient aspect of who we have been for thousands and thousands of years. We're all sort of reclaiming the purity aspect of what that is. And sovereignty is part of that individual independence. And I think as a modern day priestess, we have we have our roles cut out for us, because we have to really embody something even more. I think has to be even more encompassing, because we're working in also a new way, in a new role. We're not just working with all the different multidimensional realities that we did. That when priestesses were trained, they were oracles. They would master 1 or 2 of the sciences, or as an oracle, they would do different kinds of medicine. But now I think we are often called to do more than one thing, because you might be a mother raising children and still be a priestess in the world. It's not about that you have to be off in a temple or anything. It's modern day. We can do it in our lives. So that's what I know.
I also wanted to thank Christy for pointing out, because I really do take this to heart, that we are really the first generation empowered female to have our own money, to have the kind of independent and sovereignty, that we can be leaders, that we can be change agents, that we can be so dynamic. I really do take it to the nth degree in my own life to explore and experience this world to the highest order, because I have the freedom to do so. And I do have a level of safety that is beyond that of my ancestors. Mm-hmm. I still don't feel completely safe. Like, I'm not going down to Mexico by myself, but I can travel in a way that allows me to feel sovereign and have my own resources and income. So I really hold that in the highest sacred space and opportunity for this generation.
Yes, that was a great mention, Christy. Thank you for saying that. Yes. So thank you all for coming, and I hope that you'll come back again. And please share this with as many women as you want once we upload the link, which will probably be maybe next week, I think.
All right.
That's kind of edited down.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Priestess ladies, bless your lives.
Take a moment to let's breathe that in, all the way in through our feet and up through our hearts and down, down, down into the earth again.